the bear here? Yeah, the bear is here.
Yeah, now the beer.
Yeah, so the recording has started.
Nice.
Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Fellowship of the Book. Last week we couldn't record and for some reason, and mostly because of me. And then week before that we recorded for X-Men. Now today we are back with the topic, kind of topical, because our topic for today's podcast is Sherlock Holmes. And for those of you who don't know, today we are having a Netflix release of a Sherlock adjacent character of named Elona Holmes, which was a kind of like a fan fiction series. So that movie is coming out today. So coincidentally, due to some kind of like cosmic miracle, our podcast has coincided with the release of that movie. So enough about that. I'm Shoham, the moderator of this podcast and the person who knows nothing about Sherlock Holmes. And let me just introduce the podcasters one by one. First, I would like to introduce Ayushi Jaiswal, aka It's a Nerdy Thing. Ayushi, tell us something about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is
Yeah,
Ayushi Jaiswal. I am a blogger and a YouTuber, and you can find me by the name It's a Nerdy Thing on YouTube and Instagram.
yeah. So she's pretty awesome. The only person with actual credibility here.
That's not
Okay.
true.
We will cut this part out. Like we will keep cutting
No.
out.
Okay. Okay. The person who just tried to, cut that part of audio out, Shayan Bose, gifted visual artist
Okay.
and overall very
Okay.
nice
This
guy.
part is
Yeah.
also going out.
No,
So
this part
hi.
stays. Okay, Shanda, tell something about yourself as well.
Okay. Hi, I am Sharon. I am a graphic artist, and I am hearing music right now. What's happening? Uh, okay. The recording is still on. Okay. Anyway, I am
Uh,
Sharon. I am a graphic artist, and Sherlock Holmes is a big influence on all of us, whether anybody has read or not. Almost every one of us has uh, are familiar with Sherlock Holmes. So let's dive into it and see what we can like discuss today.
yeah,
So,
sure.
Shubham.
Thanks, Shanda. Okay, so this guy I'm going to introduce next is famous for shouting about Jonathan Hickman, and and he took the reins of last week's podcast pretty well, and he gave some of the most incredible, I would say, streamlining of the entire X-Men mythos, starting from the 70s, I think, Sudipta, and
Yes.
to the modern day. And it was really something I had expected that he would do something like that, but I didn't expect him to be this good. So, needless to say, he's one of the like pretty good speakers I have ever had the good fortune of knowing.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, so you have to say something about me, nice about me as well, or you can transfer 5 rupees to my phone account. Okay.
Sure. Whatever works with you.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sutirtho. You might remember me as the
The
mad
guy.
scientist type, mad scientist
Yeah.
type individual from the previous podcast. I am much like Soham. I am a
Yeah.
corporate employee. Uh, I have no knowledge about Sherlock Holmes. Mm,
Wow.
Neither of
okay.
us do, but
Yeah.
we're still doing it.
Yeah. And and yeah. This time I'm going to, I don't know, be in the backseat and be an
Yeah.
observer and watch everyone else
Yeah.
give their
Pretty much.
knowledge on
Yeah.
this topic. And
Yeah.
I'll just occasionally pitch in with my jokes and whatnot,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just to keep things lively.
Lively. Yeah. Okay. So that was pretty terrible. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. So the next guy is he's overall very avid film watcher and a filmmaker, an aspiring filmmaker, and he's the only one who knows how to handle a camera properly and to shoot stuff and all that. So okay, I'm just rambling here. Tom, introduce yourself.
mm,
Hi, my name is Tom. I'm a copywriter. I don't know why I'm using that word because I am pretty sure most people don't know what copywriter means. And for the record, Shom is wrong. I do not know how to handle a camera. I know how it needs to be handled, but that's not the
Yeah,
same
very
thing.
different. Yeah.
Do you know how to shoot people though?
Yeah, you know how to
No.
shoot people.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, for legal purposes, he won't say
That's a
admit it, but
I can
but I
shoot
have.
them with
for,
I can shoot them
Do you
with
shoot
blunt
blanks?
objects, but that's mostly throwing stuff at them. That is not very. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't qualify, right? That's not cool.
for legal reasons.
So
That's a joke.
Yeah, for legal reasons,
let's get this podcast started, Shoham.
Yeah,
You
sure,
have a
sure.
lot of
Yeah, or
interesting
else we'll have a
topics
real
in hand.
mystery in our hands instead of a fictional mystery.
Yeah. Okay. So first topic is we know there has been many interpretation of Sherlock Holmes, right? The starting from, of course, the OG Arthur Conan Doyle's bibliography, and then later on it has moved into plays, movies, TV series, even on really weird animated series that we'll get into. But which interpretation of Sherlock did you like? Have you have resonated with you the most? That I wanted to know. And who wants to go first on
Ayushi
this?
should start.
Yeah.
Cheyenne, if you want, you can go first, or like mine is a
Okay.
very biased opinion. So,
Okay.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
okay,
No, we're all for bias.
Okay. So
okay,
I
okay.
was in. Okay, okay, fine. So I am talking.
No, go, Cheyenne, go on,
Okay.
go on.
So I was introduced to Sherlock Holmes in very early childhood as a in translated form in Bengali because we used to go to book fairs and buy stuff like this, and so I was introduced to Sherlock in Bengali. So it was like any other children's book. I didn't get the feel of Sherlock Holmes not until I was like in my 12th standard or after 10th because I read the first Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle in our textbook as the Speckle Band. It was part of the first short story series by Arthur Conan Doyle in the which the 12 book series, The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes. It was part of it, and that was the first one which I read. So obviously, I was not introduced to Sherlock Holmes in movie or TV form in the beginning. So the books will always be the first, like love for Sherlock for me.
So, which part did you like the most? Like there has been short stories, there has been novels. So which aspect of that his mythos did you like kind of
So
uh,
the
made you made you like him?
since
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't read Sherlock very recently, but
Hmm.
the only book which I uh, ever like find recommending people is obviously Hound of Baskervilles because of the thrill it gives and
Okay.
the like the
Hmm.
suspense and adventure, which was one of the most as a kid it was like totally
Like
memorable.
harrowing, or is it
Yeah,
like
it was like shocking. Yeah,
shocking? Yeah.
I was, but after when as an adult when reading those
Hmm.
books, I especially like is fascinated by the portrayal of the character in a Victorian age. Like,
Hmm.
how do you think of this in that period of time? So,
Hmm.
no, just researching for this podcast, I came to know much about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, which I didn't know about it, which
Hmm.
might I talk about later. But
Yeah.
let's now get others' perspective on how they have interpreted Sherlock Holmes by them and which
Yeah.
are their favorite memories of with
Okay.
him.
Okay. Ayushi, you want to take this?
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. Thank you, Shubham, and thank you, Shayan, for your views. I was not a reader when I was young, at a very early age, but I did read Sherlock Holmes short stories as a school kid, like as a school text. And then I read The Hounds of Baskerville, which I absolutely loved. But the craziness which I have for Sherlock, I think that came because of the BBC Sherlock series played by Benedict Cumberbatch, because he played it in a such extraordinary way. Like
Right.
he had like I think he has played that role very well. Like I would like to believe that Sherlock is this way. I know he's very different from the books. Like the characterization of Sherlock is very different,
Hmm.
but he has tried to portray it through Benedict Cumberbatch's acting skills, but he has tried to be loyal to the Sherlock thing also. Because I know
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch has read the whole series after that for doing the research and all.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
I
his
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes is in.
I'm going to disagree with that, but I'll do it when my time comes.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. We are
Okay.
here to
So
discuss
Tom, you
about
wanna
it.
go next?
Sure. So I am not a really big fan of the Sherlock Holmes stories. I read a few of them as a kid, but they didn't really connect with me. But the thing is, when it comes to a character like Sherlock, he's beyond a character, beyond a legend. He's kind of an archetype, right? So
Right.
there are a lot of Bengali detectives who are inspired from Sherlock.
Absolutely.
Feluda.
Yeah.
Most of the people here know what I'm
Bomber,
talking about.
Bomber.
Feluda is how I came to know of Sherlock. Like even in the stories, Feluda always admired Sherlock Holmes's, style of working, and there are continuous references to the guy. And later on, of course, I saw a bunch of these modern day adaptations,
There is
out of which I used to like Sherlock, the BBC series, but there is a thing with that Moffat does that I will address maybe later, which kind of didn't continue my love for the series. On the other hand, Elementary. Elementary is the series which I think is the most accurate portrayal of a modern day Sherlock. But other than these two, there is also an adaptation from the late 80s or early 90s in which and this is a very interesting interpretation of Sherlock, where Sherlock is basically an actor called Reginald Kincaid, hired by the real mastermind, who is Dr. John Watson. And
Right.
Michael Caine played this Reginald Kincaid,
Yeah.
and Ben Kingsley played
Ben
Dr.
Kingsley is the
Watson.
Watson. Yeah. Ben
Yeah,
Kingsley
and
is
it's a beautiful comedy. It's a great comedy. All of you should watch it if you haven't. I think Shoham has.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really
Yeah,
great.
so
It's on
that's
YouTube,
my
I think.
take on Sherlock.
yeah.
Okay.
Nice recommendation.
Sudipta,
Okay, I will.
so you have kind of a like very scathing things to say, I think.
No, I don't have scathing things to say. I just want to say that in reference to Benedict Cumberbatch being the definitive Sherlock, my introduction to Sherlock was through the original television series where Jeremy Brett and David Burke.
Uh,
And
Okay,
I
yeah.
had not even heard of Sherlock Holmes until that point. I had not read a single book. That person, his acting, his like the way he pulled off Sherlock's character made him the definitive Sherlock in my mind. And like he is what he did with the character was basically a classic, and that was the
What's
first
his
time
name?
Jeremy Brett.
Yeah, the whole
He's from the 80s. Like his
yes.
television series lasted, Sherlock Holmes TV series lasted from 84 to 94.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jeremy Brett, he is to Sherlock Holmes what Christopher Reeves is to Superman. Like you can like Henry Cavill, you can like Brendan Routh, you can like everyone else. There is only one Christopher Reeves. Similarly, there is only one this thing. Jeremy Brett.
Yeah, Jeremy Brett did the most like memorable impression of Sherlock Holmes. Like,
Yes,
in
and
every discussion I have seen on YouTube, they have like hailed him for his
yeah, like
character.
it is.
Acting for Sherlock.
Such a classic portrayal, and he embodies the qualities of Sherlock so well that for me, no one else can match up to him. For me, the most memorable thing about his Sherlock is that story, the Greek interpreter. When the episode that adapted the Greek interpreter, and we were first introduced to Mycroft Holmes, then Mycroft and Sherlock had this kind of standoff or a deduction off where they saw one random person on the street from their window and deduced as much as they could from him, and it was like it was almost perfect.
And
Wow.
something similar was there was something similar in Sherlock series also, where Mycroft and Sherlock is deducing villain cap actually
Hmm.
of a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure that was like a reference to this original
Yes,
thing, but
yes,
either
exactly.
way, either way, like that was a classic, and for me, like the classic can't come close to the modern. Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock works very well in a modern setting as a modern new imagination, but as classic Sherlock goes, Jeremy Brett is the like
Yeah, exactly.
number one.
Because I am able with the classic Sherlock because very because he's in a different time, like parallel.
Yes.
So I can connect with the Benedict Cumberbatch batches Sherlock a bit more because he is in my universe, like he's in the present world, in the modern world. So accordingly, that portrayal of Sherlock is as this is the first Sherlock that I had seen. So automatically Sherlock becomes Benedict Cumberbatch in mind. While I'm reading also,
Right.
I can imagine Benedict Cumberbatch saying those dialogues when I'm reading novels right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. For me,
That's
it's
because
Jeremy
of,
Brett because like I saw it first when I was what 8, 9 years old. So from that moment on, like Sherlock is Jeremy Brett regenerated Sherlock.
Which
okay.
happens with me when it comes to Christian Bale. Like it's like he's whatever, but
The Brett.
Yeah. So for my choice, I'll go with a pretty odd one. Already Tom picked. I was hoping to pick Michael Caine, honestly, but I'll go with the second fiddle. I'm sorry for calling him second fiddle because he's nothing short of a legend. Peter Cushing. He was Sherlock in one or two movies. Many of you might
Yes,
not know. Yeah.
Yes.
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Grand Moff Tarkin from Star Wars. So
Right.
he might be one of the only Brits to play both Doctor Who and Sherlock Holmes, which is a very rare thing for the Brits actually. He was part of the Dalek movies, the old Doctor Who, which are kind of canon but still isn't. And aside from that, he was Sherlock for I think it was Hound of Baskervilles, or it was like amalgamation of different stories. But his take, as we know, like Peter Cushing is kind of like has a very stern demeanor, and he's a very dry sense of humor, and uh, he brought that kind of particular angle to the Sherlock Holmes character. Whereas Sherlock was pretty grim, dark to begin with, but he kind of gave it his own texture. So that was really cool to see. And aside from that, I would say that Sir Ian McKellen. I read the review of the movie and I have not seen the movie. So he recently played a older version of Sherlock Holmes, which didn't the movie that he so judging by the trailer, I'd say that that movie didn't deal with his investigations or his deduction, all those things, but it dealt with his morality, like Sherlock Holmes is becoming old and is suffering from a kind of a dementia, and that's taking toll of that's kind of like hurting him because he boasts of his intellect, and that kind of, and he it is essentially his bread and butter. So that
The
is
movie is a hotspot.
it's a hotspot
Yep.
because the trailer was really good, man. That's why I was like,
Yeah, I started watching it. It's so boring
boring,
and
right?
confusing at the same time. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Other
Why
because
is this film?
but the trailer really sold me. Oh man, because
what the hell is that?
Somebody has
What
hired.
happened?
uh, some
What
Hello?
happened?
yeah, Sudhika,
Yeah.
you all right, bro?
Yeah, I'm fine. What happened?
No, some sound was coming.
Okay. No, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So and much to my surprise, no one mentioned Downey. Someone could
Yeah,
have
that's what I was going
named
to say that. I mean, nobody mentioned Downey.
No, he hated Downey.
I think I'd like to,
Because
yeah, that's it.
continue.
Yeah, I'd like to attribute it to the fact that, as many people may have pointed out in different areas, ever since Robert Downey Jr. did Iron Man, all of his
Exactly.
characters are a variation of Iron Man. When I see Sherlock, I
Yeah.
don't see Sherlock Holmes.
Yes,
I see
like
Tony
I see
Stark.
Robert Downing Jr. Yes,
I see
his
Tony
Sherlock
Stark.
was more like
Yeah.
him. Like yeah.
It's British Tony Stark, British and senile Tony Stark, more senile.
Yes, yes.
So true.
And the first movie is actually pretty good.
But
like-
that shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, some of Sherlock's elements have been used to create Iron Man, Tony Stark.
yeah, of course. The initial inspiration is like that, but even
I thought the initial inspiration of Tony Stark was Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes and Sherlock and a bunch of other characters.
Yeah,
like
a mixed bag of many different characters.
Yeah.
Was kind of similar because he was also like genius, but unlike at first impression you're not going to like him. Exactly
Yeah.
like Sherlock Holmes.
Mm.
So yeah,
Makes
this
perfect
this thing has been repeated over and over in many literature.
I don't think Downey's performance had that many issues. It's just the stories were
No,
not really memorable enough.
yeah,
The stories were
And
bad.
I think one more thing that Robert Downing Jr.'s role was not very impactful because Judy Law was also dominant in this frame. While
yeah,
in
it's very
other
good as
characters,
Watson, yeah.
what happens is, Watson, Dr. Watson's character was very dominating in this one
Hmm.
as compared to other
I love
Sherlocks.
that. I personally love that a lot.
Yes,
mean,
I
the
also liked
primary-
Dr. Watson's character in this movie.
I think
Yeah.
the other problem with Guy Ritchie's Sherlock movies is that they were more like action adventure thrillers and not just pure mystery. Almost
Yeah.
every other famous Sherlock adaptation is just pure mystery. It's just like a pure whodunit. This is like
I did not-
action adventure, global
Yeah,
conspiracy,
I can't
espionage.
complain about that either. I mean, Sherlock can be action adventure. Why not? I mean, I don't have a problem with that. It's just that the stories are not worth remembering. I mean, can you tell
Yeah,
me
it's
what the movies were about? It's
Actually, I remember them both in like a perfect detail, but I'm not. I can't speak for the general audience.
No, I'll describe them. The first one was the guy who looks like Andy Garcia was angry for
Mark Strong.
something.
His name is Mark Strong.
Yeah, Mark Strong. Sinestro.
Can't-
Yeah. Okay.
See what I'm
So-
talking about regarding the confusion, and it's
No. So he was angry and he was trying to sacrifice some women, and he was making some like contraption or something.
He was basically trying to poison the parliament.
Parliament, and then he was hanged, and then he came back, and but then at the end they explained how it all happened. And
That is a very poor explanation, by the way.
I'm deliberately doing
absolutely
it.
don't remember the movie like this.
Yeah, because I saw like on my first viewing I dozed off, honestly, because I saw a hall print of that movie and then Pirate for Life, and then the audio was so bad I kind of like slept within the first 20 minutes, and then luckily internet, my dad got me a broadband, and then I downloaded it again, #Pirate for Life, and then
We
I
should
saw the
come with
entire
that
thing and I
idea.
liked it. I didn't hate it necessarily, but I honestly like it quite a bit till I saw the BBC series. And BBC series, the first 2 seasons are pretty much flawless. I'll give them that. Like it's very, very, very enthralling. But after that,
Yeah.
it kind of becomes a fan fiction of some sort. Like they and the fourth one is a complete mess. Like I don't know what happens in the fourth one. Honestly, I tend to forget it. It becomes kind of like a you guys remember like Doom 2, right? It Sherlock becomes
Yes.
it goes into that same genre, like yeah, like kind of like a technopunk / espionage / whatever comes out of Moffat's mind. Yeah, so yeah, that was one of the main gripes of the Sherlock series for me. But I am surprised none of you have mentioned the quintessential Sherlock, Will Ferrell that Will Ferrell played couple of
no.
months ago.
No, we will not get into Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly Sherlock. We will not.
What? That happened?
We're supposed to wrap this up. This is the opposite of wrapping this up.
Wait, what the fuck?
Epitome of disaster.
that movie, oh my god, it's so bad.
That doesn't qualify as a movie. That qualifies
Yeah,
as
that's
torture in hell.
and which is ironical because I like Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly together because they did some
That is-
really good stuff with Step Brothers and
That is
Hell
really
and Other Nights and all that.
dangerous movie. Like they have taken the cream out of the British actors and all those famous actors and made a like what did they make again?
Yeah.
Why
If
did
they
make
wanted to
it?
make a parody of Sherlock Holmes, they've done a very good job. Otherwise, I got nothing.
Yeah, Ray Fiennes is in
That
it.
was the whole
Did
point
you-
of that movie.
But it was
No, I
supposed to be
mean,
funny, but it is
they
not
wanted to
even
do an
funny.
Adam McKay kind of an adaptation of Sherlock. Is that what was the intention?
But yeah, that was initially that's what they were going for. That I think, but
It didn't pan out.
It didn't pan out properly because Adam McKay is a very good writer. His screenplay is always very spot on.
Adam McKay is a
And
good
all the-
director also.
A good director also, and his humor is very cheeky and like those kind of things. But here it just becomes like a old played out running gags of different kinds. Like they try to make fun of typical British humor, like British potboilers. And then it just that doesn't the jokes kind of don't land properly. And Will Ferrell seems bored out of his mind. He's begrudgingly doing it. He's doing it for a paycheck. His expression says it all. It's just a complete mess. And but also Johnny Depp was Sherlock, I think. For one.
What?
Yeah, there was a
No.
or that movie didn't get released. I think it was called Sherlock Gnomes. Like you guys know Garden Gnomes, right? So
Okay.
apparently
Like,
this
it was
was
an animated series.
yeah, it was an animated movie
Okay,
about
that's
sentient garden gnomes, and one of
Yeah.
them used to believe that he was Sherlock Holmes. Like it is somehow worse than the Will Ferrell movie, but yeah.
Okay,
there has been a-
since we are going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, let us discuss the animated series.
Okay, let us discuss the animated series. So recently we discussed about this early on. I'll take this one. Sudipta can take the other one. First, I'll talk about the like magnum opus that is 22nd Sherlock in 22nd century. Now you might think, what is that? So this is a Disney XD 2-season like mythology of Sherlock, or a different take on the mythology of Sherlock, where they kind of the essential plot is Sherlock. They revive Sherlock through some kind of a cryo chamber. Like in this particular universe, Sherlock has lived a full life and then succumbed to death. Then, like some kind of huge assholes, the descendants of Lestrade of Scotland Yard of 22nd century. What she does is she revives Sherlock through kind of genetic mutations or something, and then she brings him back to the 22nd century because a clone of Dr. Moriarty is wreaking havoc. So that's the essential plan, and it's so messed up that they have revived Sherlock without any of without the consent of any of his like descendants or family or anything. Just to stop Moriarty, they have revived him. And aside from that, the most messed up part is that, remember, we saw one kind of a mecha Dr. Watson, like one robot, and Dr. Watson was wearing some kind of mecha suit. So apparently that's a robot
Yes.
who reads all the books that have been published by Dr. Watson, and then for somehow he manages to interpret Dr. Manhattan.
Develop,
I'm
what-
digressing to Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Watson's mannerism and all that, he is able to.
Watchmen
copy
was
all
over
that.
2 weeks ago, man. Keep
Yeah,
focused.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of copies and mimics the mannerism of Dr. Watson, and then he puts on a latex mask of Dr. Watson, and then he goes to Sherlock and calls him old friend. Like he basically masquerades as Dr. Watson to give Sherlock like a false sense of
Feel.
feel that his friend is back. So it's
Which
pretty yeah.
which is weird because from the outside he doesn't look like Dr. Watson at all. He looks like Dum Dum
No.
Dugan.
Yeah, he looks like Dum Dum from Marvel, from the Howling Commanders. Yeah, so it's pretty messed up, and Sherlock takes it pretty well for some reason. Like, yeah, I'm back. Yeah, this my Watson is a robot now, and then let's all.
So this looks like a job for me. So everybody just follow me.
Yeah, and just since Sudipta just sang rapped the intro of this particular Sherlock in 22nd century, I think it was made within the span of 2 hours. Like someone was just sitting there and the producers came and say, hey, can you make that intro for us? And it's one of the most horrifying music intros I have ever heard in my entire life.
I have to listen to
Sherlock,
it.
just don't believe me, then just go to YouTube and look it up. Just it's terrible. So but it apparently has a huge cult following, like it's so bad it's good kind of thing.
Okay.
So does the
Yeah.
Snyder cut.
So does the Snyder Cut. So what do we know?
Yes.
So does the Room
Yeah.
actually
So since
got
we
into
are already since we are already on this topic, like obscure Sherlocks, the most weirdest one which I thought was that mouse detective one, the great mouse detective Sherlock.
Yeah,
That was
that's
so
very
weird.
that weirdly that doesn't deal with any kind of investigation or anything. Like that's
Sherlock is an
Also, while
archetype. It's
Like,
not a
what do you expect from Disney to make
no
murder
Disney
scenes for kids?
no
exactly.
which is ironical. Just you said murder scenes, right? The movie opens with a huge murder scene of a child witnessing her father getting brutally murdered by some kind of rat. So this is that's how the movie starts. So
Okay.
Disney sometimes took a really some weird routes.
Disney went dark.
Disney went dark, and as a like it's very campy. It's very campy, and it's very. Vincent Price is voicing Dr. Moriarty, I think, in here. So Vincent Price is very kind of, he likes to do all the histrionics and he likes to choose scenery. So he's doing that so well in this particular movie, but it doesn't get much traction, I think, in the midst of other Disney hits. But it should actually, because it deviates so much from the original content. Aside from having a like mouse be a sleuth and criminal mastermind be a rat. So these, aside from these parallels, there are so few similarities that it becomes a own thing. It's a own thing, and I'd give props to Disney for going that. Like without, I don't have necessarily any issue with Disney princess stories. Like they are very empowering sometimes, but at that time when Rapunzel and other Snow White and all those things, all the movies that were doing so well, they took a chance and they made this movie about a mouse who is a detective. So I give them props for
Because
that.
apparently Disney thought that even boys should have some Disney stories.
Yeah. And speaking of Disney, like, and Peter Pan was not doing well for them, because if you go back and look at Peter Pan now, it's wildly racist. It's so racist. I mean, the way the native Indians are like drawn, and the way the black community, like the black people are drawn. Even if you see Dumbo, the crows are supposed to be like they are doing some kind of this very offensive term, like racial act called what is that? Ministerial act, I think. It's like basically doing a blackface kind of thing, like massive cultural appropriation. So if you watch Dumbo, you'll see that the crows are nothing but stereotypes, like black stereotypes. And those things Disney have tried to cover up time and time again, but now something's kind of leaking out actually from their vaults. So,
The
yeah.
metaphor
think,
isn't really subtle
it
because
was,
you know about the Jim Crow era and
Jim
all
Crow,
those.
yeah, I forgot the name. Yeah, Jim Crow era. Yeah, exactly, Jim Crow era.
Okay,
guys,
so
I heard
since
Eastward. Has Eastward joined?
no, he's just
No,
recording.
Oh,
Yeah. So since we're talking about offbeat Sherlock adaptations, or I'd like to bring up something a slightly better adaptation or like inspiration of Sherlock. How many of you are familiar with the manga called Detective Conan?
Yes,
yeah,
that was
I've seen it.
amazing. That was
I've seen it.
What?
Detective
Yeah,
Conan.
Detective Conan is kind of synonymous to Sherlock.
Yes, see, the basic story of Detective Conan is that he is a high school student called Shinichi Kudo. He is like he has his own detective agency. He's very brilliant. He's like a Japanese Feluda for the Bengali people. Basically,
Yeah.
Japanese Feluda or Japanese whatever.
In
So
Japan, Sherlock Holmes has a huge influence. I have
Bamkesh
just
Bakshi.
exactly, yeah. So what happens is that he chases he's chasing this criminal organization. Now he gets caught. And what they do is that those criminals do is that they feed him a pill, which in theory is not supposed to be, which in theory will kill him without leaving any trace, without coming up in autopsy. Now what the pill does is instead of killing him, it de-ages him and makes him around 5-10 years younger. So he was maybe 16, he was maybe 17, 18 years old. Now he's just 8. He's become a child.
And really nice criminals, by the way. Like
Yeah.
They will give you extra years to live.
Yeah, by mistake, but still, I mean,
Really thoughtful of them.
yeah. So so they de-ages him, and in order to protect his identity and shit, and to prevent confusion, he takes the name of Conan Edogawa, obviously inspired by Arthur Conan Doyle. And
Yes.
so and yes, it is a very successful detective series. In fact, I think it's even continuing till today. Like the animated series is continuing till today, and the manga is also still continuing till today. I mean, they're still going on. So it started in 1994. It's almost as big as One Piece. Yeah, I think it's bigger than One Piece.
great.
Oh,
While researching, I found that there are many inspirations in Japanese manga which are based on Sherlock Holmes. They are very popular in Japan. So
In fact, personally, I remember watching Detective Conan when I was young, and I am not introduced to the manga. I used to watch the anime series, and it was amazing. Like the acting and the way that kid performs, like the deductions actually he used to do.
Hello, wonderful people.
yes,
Hello.
Cameo appearance. Cameo appearance.
Cameo appearance. Yeah, I heard manga and my ears were burning.
So we got to know the secret how to involve Ishwar in all the podcasts.
How to
Yeah,
date
just
Ishwar.
like me.
Yeah.
Someone say manga, my eyes start burning. No, you were talking about inspirations for the detective trope, right? As in the cool, ice cold detective. There are actually a couple of interesting mangas you guys could check out. One is obviously Dante Gakuken, which is the very popular detective school Q, and the Kindaichi case files.
okay.
Any of them on Netflix, man?
I'm not sure. I think Detective School Q you can find you know where. Yeah, I can't really say that out loud. I'm not sure. I'll have to check if Kindaichi is available, but I think if it's not, I think that'll also have to be found you know where.
So one since you're here, Ishwar, so
Justice League.
yeah, Justice League. No, not Justice League. I just want to ask, like Lupin the Third. Was that kind of a derivative of Arthur Conan Doyle's work as well?
Yeah, I mean, most of the detective stuff that you see in Japanese anime and manga, they all have the same trope, the same kind, mostly the same kind of detectives and characteristics. But the interesting thing is, some of these detectives kind of break that mold of the very cool and composed, detective. Like even for instance, like you guys were talking about Detective Conan. Kindaichi has like this a guy who's like a bumbling detective, but is actually really, really smart. It's the same case with Detective School Q also, because there you actually have a bunch of people working together where their skills cover up each other's weaknesses. So it's more like a
Oh.
team effort rather than just one cool headed detective types.
So, but Lupin is vastly different from Sherlock, right? Because Lupin is kind of like he's flamboyant, he's very like there's so much levity to him, and then
Yes.
he's kind of a pervert also.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yes, yes.
So speaking of, am I on?
Don't say speaking of pervert, show home like that. Don't phrase it that way.
Yeah, I was thinking that was it.
Speaking of different from Sherlock, how do you think the Agatha Christie novels work different than the Conan Doyle novels?
I'm not sure if they work entirely differently, if you ask me, because, like I said, everyone has this perception that detectives have to have that same cool outward demeanor, like they're always thinking, and you don't really know what they're thinking about. Like, even Sherlock, for instance, you don't really see him go through a thought process. Like, as unpopular as a lot of people might think, watching the Guy Ritchie movies was actually interesting because you got to see Sherlock go through the motions of what he was going to do next. Like, for instance, there's that fighting match where he says you hit the ear and then punch him in the face and then break
That
his
was
knee.
beautiful.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That sequence was really good.
Like I said, the action of those movies you cannot complain about.
Yeah, and even for instance the BBC series, you got to see the mind map.
Yes. And you also see that he's thinking and analyzing and deducing their words on the beside the
Exactly.
characteristics.
Exactly. So we don't really. I mean, I'm not sure because there's a lot of detective properties that are out there, potentially inspired by Sherlock. But a lot of them, I mean, from the ones that I've seen, they don't really delve into the thought process of how they eventually come to the case. Like you see them go through the motions of the case, but you don't see their thought process, their inner monologue, so to speak.
Yeah, because like for Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock, all I see are just words popping out of the crime scene. Like he just looks at it and then like here this has happened. This guy's left-handed. This guy uses this cologne and all that. But I don't. I want to see how he like traces back all that. Like how did he come to realize that this guy has this particular mannerism or this guy.
He has those monologues with John, I guess, in the BBC Sherlock. He has those monologues with John, and that's how you know how he thinks.
Yeah, but that's only like kind of is prevalent for the first two seasons. From the third season
It's only when the story kind of progresses to a point where he actually has to sit down and show us the whole mind map, mind palace thing, is when you actually see him, show us how his thought process and how his mind actually works.
Yeah, pretty much.
I would like to have seen more of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The problem with the BBC Sherlock series is that, and this is not a Cumberbatch problem, he is still very good in that role. Sherlock got too much caught up in being Sherlock. I mean, and this is a problem that Moffat has. If you watch his Doctor Who series, when he first came, Matt Smith was the youngest actor to ever play Doctor Who, and most of the times he was threatening alien villains, not with weapons, not with logic, not with a plan, but with the fact that he was the Doctor, and he'll probably have a plan that will defeat them in the future or in the past because he has a time machine. And Moffat does this whole getting caught up in its own ethos. Not ethos.
Mythos.
Lore. To get caught up in its own lore, and then so much of season 3 and 4 of BBC Sherlock is about being Sherlock, wearing the hat.
Yeah.
And
but yeah, that gimmick
being
actually
that smart.
Yeah. So that gimmick only works once, because if you remember, Tom, when they introduced Matt Smith, I only seen that one episode or the clippings of it on YouTube. So he just goes to that Xylos, that alien, and he just says, "So basically, run because I'm the Doctor."
That was just the beginning. He does that so many times in the first season. There is
that's good for one time.
You've not seen the Pandorica episode, the Stonehenge episode.
No, I haven't. That.
Anybody here has seen that Stonehenge episode of Matt Smith Doctor Who?
No.
So what happens is they are in Stonehenge and they are trapped, and there are about 100 alien ships flying outside. Okay. And Doctor Who just goes and announces on the microphone that it's a very famous speech. I mean, those speeches are very well written. That all of you here with your silly little guns and your silly little spaceships, just remember one thing before you start knocking on this door. Remember who is standing against you, and then let someone else try first. And that scares them. This is how the story is built.
kind of lazy writing if you think about it, right?
That's just lazy writing.
Smart lazy
It's just
writing.
plain
Yeah,
lazy
a bit
writing.
of both. Bit of
To
both.
quote Deadpool,
Smart
that's
lazy.
just lazy writing.
Yeah. To quote Deadpool, that's just lazy writing. Like he wrote himself to a corner and then he couldn't figure things out, and then he thought, okay, what if I make the doctor go outside and say, hey, I'm the doctor, I'm a big badass, and then just everyone runs away. That's basically what he thought, Moffat thought.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
it reminds me of the season 4 ending of Sherlock. Oh, Sherlock has a twin sister. She's a diabolical person. She's going to kill everyone. Oh, but your family loves you, even though they put you in a fucking prison.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, right.
Oh god, don't remind us of season 4. That's like PTSD for me.
Let's pretend that
But
it
that's the thing. What felt bad with Sherlock felt actually really good and fresh with Doctor Who, until it became a sort of repetition.
Repetition. Yeah, any like too much of a good thing is a bad thing, essentially.
Yep.
Too much of David Tennant as Doctor Who is not a bad thing.
And it's not a bad thing, except for David Tennant, because the more we get to see him, the more it's a blessing. Like,
I
yeah,
mean,
has David Tennant been in any bad movies or TV series? Because everything he has, him.
Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Yeah,
Harry
he was
Potter and the
good in
Goblet
that.
of Fire.
He was
Yeah,
good
He
in
was
that.
good in
Yeah,
that. The movie was average.
Yeah, movie was average, but he was pretty good
And
in that role.
David Tennant was cast as probably the second most important villain in the entire Harry Potter series, and his role was reduced to less than a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, initially he was cast as there was
Barty.
an ongoing rumor, right, that he might be Voldemort or something. Then
Huh?
they revealed that it was Ray Fiennes. Something like that happened.
No, I don't remember.
I don't remember that.
No, I mean,
That was a long
I
time
could
let's
be
face
wrong.
it.
I could be wrong.
Let's face it, we all remember him being creepy, going, "Hello, father. How are
Hello,
Yeah.
father. Yep.
Hey, father. And, how about we do the rest of the pod in British accent? Hello,
Bloody hell. No way.
Hello, guys.
Blimey, mate.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, Sherlock Holmes and Batman. Have you guys read that issue?
No.
No.
Really?
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes met Batman.
Of
Okay.
course. Why
Jesus
not?
That would be like
Christ.
two of my
Yeah,
crushes involved
he
in
was
one.
like, so
Yeah.
Sherlock's like 90 something, okay, and
I
apparently
think,
yeah, it was like a really old Neil Adams comic, if I'm not wrong. Apparently, he still eats something called royal jelly, and I don't know, he has like a very special diet or something. He's still alive and he's still very active, still fights and stuff.
I haven't seen it
It's a
or heard of
detective
it,
story,
but
right? Tell me that
Yeah,
the
exactly.
I think what the creators were thinking, I can relate to that, because Sherlock Holmes is like the inspiration of Gotham is kind of the London created in by Arthur Conan Doyle, a dark like alleyways and
We have Gotham by Gaslight, which is like a literal
Gotham by
Arthur Conan Doyle.
Gaslight is fine art, man.
yeah, because
Mike Mignola is God.
Yes.
okay.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Shanda, continue.
Yeah.
So what was the next topic? We have been
Yeah.
talking
Just
about different.
after Shanda wraps it up, I'll move to the next topic.
Yes,
You were
what
saying,
I yes, because before Arthur Conan Doyle, nobody has portrayed London in such a light. It was a unique take. Like you see that London, the city has also become a character, and it has been said in many interpretations. Like in a Sherlock Holmes is actually, if you think of it right now, what he gave the audience in those era is that a person who will, no matter how dark things get, if Sherlock Holmes is there, he will take care of it. And this is the thing which made people clung to this character, and that is why the city of London was a very important aspect in his original novels, and
Yeah.
you can see it in future movies and all these things where the London is depicted as dark, smoky, crime-filled lanes, and all these things. And
Yeah.
I obviously think it is also what Gotham City looks like, right? So that's
it's
why
very
when you
Not-
Like
mentioned
That's a
Gotham
that,
very-
City is, in my point of view, it's like black. It's like dark, and London in Arthur Conan Doyle is sort of gray, like mysterious, not
yeah,
dark exactly,
mysterious.
but
Actually, both of
mysterious
them
gray.
have elements of classic gothic horror mystery type of aesthetics. So we were
Yeah.
looking at stuff that could translate very well to both horror stories as well as detective stories. I mean, with Doyle's Sherlock Holmes, it translates well to detective stories better, obviously. But with
Yes.
Batman, since he's fought like supernatural elements in the city, it translates well to both.
Right.
So what I
So,
essentially take from that particular analogy is that Sherlock is steampunk, whereas Batman is technopunk.
Yeah, you
Like-
could say that. But interestingly enough, in a lot of ways, both of them have the same kind of architecture and aesthetic for both their
yeah.
cities.
Yeah.
But in
That-
terms of tonality, you could say that, yeah, there's more steampunk elements, given it was written in the 1800s and all.
yes.
Okay, so I'll wrap up this topic. The next one this one will create a bloodbath. Who is the best Sherlock actor so far? Like there has been many
Oh God.
interpretations.
I know the answer of Aryushi.
You know my answer as well.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll
We
I'll
have
go with
our
the-
teams.
Okay, I'll go with the oddball choice here. Tom, you wanna go first on this one? Because we know someone will pick Cumberbatch or Downey or someone
I think it's Johnny Lee Miller. I mean, his acting is really good. I mean, it's a show with the old format where it's a 40-minute show with gaps in between. It goes for an hour. But the first few seasons are very well written. The cases, the individual cases. I mean, if you guys haven't watched it, at least watch the first season. And I don't know, the way Johnny Lee Miller played it. It was very intense and subdued at the same time. And there was no flair like you got with Cumberbatch or Robert Downey Jr. So maybe that's why it was not as popular. But he played it in a very down to earth yet very intense manner. So yeah, that's my vote.
After you suggested the series to me back in like 2012, I think. So
Yeah.
I saw a couple of episodes of that. So what I took was the eccentricities of Sherlock was not there, but there was
No,
this kind of
actually they're there. They're not just not played for laughs. I mean, there is a lot of
yeah, exactly the comedic aspect of that is totally taken out from there. But there's
Intense.
intense is very intense. There's a sense of loss, and he's very kind of like how do we say, like he's suffering. He's essentially he's traumatized from the things that has happened to him earlier on in the series, and then he's just trying to his entire thing is kind of a defense mechanism or a coping mechanism for his depression, for his loss, what he has gone through. So it was a very unique take. Yeah,
I particularly like the Dr. Watson take in that also. I mean,
yeah,
to have an Asian woman play it, I mean, it's
an Asian
completely
woman
other
playing
side.
Dr. Watson. And mind you, it was purely platonic. Like there was no romantic thing between them.
Yeah, and
Like there
they
is
didn't
more
do
romance. There's more romance shown between Cumberbatch and what's his name?
Martin Freeman.
Martin.
Martin Freeman. Then Lucy Liu and Johnny Lee Miller.
Yeah.
That's actually quite fascinating. Okay, so next I'll take another oddball choice. Sutirtha?
Hello. So my favorite is obviously Jeremy Brett, because he set the bar. For no other reason, he set the bar.
Okay.
He set the bar in like adapting every little mannerism, every little character trait that Sherlock Holmes has. He portrayed it to perfection, and in a way that others couldn't match up. Obviously, others couldn't match up, so they tried to do their different things. But and that is why he is such a classic portrayal of Sherlock Holmes. Because he embodies Sherlock Holmes basically. There is no other reason. That's all.
Yeah, what I understood is he set the blueprint, like how to play Sherlock, and some
Right.
actors made it its own, but not fully. Like there was still essence of Jeremy Brett in that character that they were playing.
Yeah,
Like you can find a sense of you can find a sense of Jeremy Brett in
Yes.
Cumberbatch,
Yes.
in Downey,
Hmm.
even Will Ferrell. Oh God, no Jeremy Brett.
No. I couldn't find anything in Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell was just like a bad copy of Jeremy Brett. Let's forget it. I want to see what Henry Cavill does, but I'm not very.
I think he'll be good. He'll be good. He's actually Henry Cavill is
He's a supporting cast, right? I mean,
He's still Sherlock.
You know which is ironical. Henry Cavill is almost like Superman by his nature and his looks and his demeanor. Not when he's playing Superman. Like off screen, he's essentially like very much like Clark Kent, like jovial, funny, and all those things. Very charismatic, charming.
I really
But
think
whenever
that hang out
charming.
which people don't understand about Clark Kent.
Yeah, but Snyder kind of made him this mopey. Okay, let's not talk about Snyder anymore.
Snyder again. Come on.
Okay. Okay, Shayanda, you wanna take this?
Yeah,
And Ishwan, are you part of it now, or what was that's just a cameo?
I keep giving cameo appearances, but when I enter, it's actually good fun.
yeah. I mean,
Okay, I'll get to you after Shayanda then.
Yeah.
Ishwar has to formally introduce himself, right? We have
He's
to go
Ishwar,
through
he's
this
omnipresent,
thing.
so we have to expect him like that.
He's God.
He's God.
Okay, fine. This is the introduction. Then.
Oh Lord, he's coming.
Okay, Shayanda.
Yeah. So when we are as kids, when we read the books, the illustrations give us the impression of the character, right? So there are many interpretations of Sherlock Holmes, but what this Steve Moffat and Mark Gatiss has done, it was like beyond amazing, like casting Cumberbatch. So I was so impressed, like the book Sherlock from the book has the illustrations from the book has come with a BlackBerry in his hand. So I was like very fascinated. So this has been the most impressive Sherlock impression to me because of this like modern day interpretation thing. Other than that, obviously Jeremy Brett.
Yay.
Hello.
Hello. Why is everyone on mute? So,
I think
where is our wonderful?
Oh, sorry, my mic got muted and I kept talking.
It happened with me also a while ago.
Yeah. So Shanda, I have a question. Like, the first two seasons of the Sherlock that you see, he's very cynical. Yeah. He's very guarded. Like he doesn't let anyone interfere with his personal lives and all that. He makes an exception for John, but he doesn't really consider him a friend, so to speak. So he's a very different character altogether in the first two seasons, at least, of Sherlock.
Yes.
Later on,
He's
he
very
becomes
away from the people, and in the next seasons, we get to see his vulnerable side.
Vulnerability,
Actually,
his human side, so to
this is
speak.
intentionally made by Steve Moffat and Mark Gatiss, because in the books, how they have been, how Sherlock has been portrayed is that through the eyes of Dr. Watson, who is representation of us. Like we are deducting wrong things, and Sherlock is making
Yes.
the entrance and solving the issue. And so he is like kind of, oh my god, he is a genius. And now that we in the first season they have interpreted him in their way, and it was a massive hit, right? Second season, what they did is they took only the rest of the fantastic novels, Hound of Baskervilles, the final problem, and the first one was what? Oh,
Scandal in Bohemia.
Yes.
No.
The pinnacle of the first time Sherlock was like massive hit. So these three books were also like the best known literature of Conan Doyle, and they have tried to interpret it. So in itself, it was obviously supposed to be like a great hit. Now in the third season, they had to do something which was like not covered in the first two seasons. So they tried to put human side of Sherlock Holmes in front, and third season was, according to me, kind of okay, but they took it too much in the fourth season, and we are not seeing Sherlock Holmes, but
Hello?
Yeah.
I think Science muted himself.
Yeah.
Oh, he's okay.
No, actually, the thing is, did you guys like that one special Christmas special they did with the Sherlock with the same Cumberbatch Sherlock in the Victorian era?
I did, but I mean,
It was an
it was
interesting
very
take.
interesting take, but that didn't have a complete story structure. They kept going back and forth between current time, and it started off really good. Okay, so I really was enjoying. There are few callbacks from the original
Yes.
series to the, and they recreated those in the special. But what like my grouse, the main thing is they kept like going back to the last episode of the third season, I think, right? Last
okay.
episode of the third season where
Yes.
Sherlock is in plane and he's completely like addled with a drug and all that, and he was having this kind of hallucinations, and then I thought the Christmas special would be a different, like a disjoint thing from the narrative of the entire modern day series, but they
It
didn't go
would
that
have
route
been a
and they
good
tried to.
one. It would have been a good one if they didn't try to like bring him back in the present.
Present, yeah,
Yeah, it was good.
and how they
good
treated
game.
Mycroft, they made him kind of like this fat slob, and he who just is kind of a gluttonous.
it was probably a reference to the original Mycroft actor from the Jeremy Brett era.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, he was fat, really fat.
Yeah. Not fat, he was just old.
Oh, okay.
And old and a little fat, like not as fat as the Gantis
Yeah,
one.
that they
But
kind
in
of
the
made him
movie
like
also,
a
in the movie
comedic
also, you
element.
can see Stephen Fry is in
Yeah.
similar kind of character, right?
Yeah, it was bit of Stephen Fry and bit of the original, like the first TV Mycroft actor.
Right.
Yeah, that Stephen Fry scene with that in the second one, right? We are all watching it in the hall, and my uncle, who is a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, like OG, one of the, like, he loves those novels, so he was watching Sherlock, and then he saw that Stephen Fry's bum on the screen, and then after that, when he got out of the theater, he said, Mycroft used to be this huge kind of like a better version of Sherlock, and they have reduced him to a comedian, like a bumbling fool. I don't know why Stephen Fry, he's a very intellectual individual, but I don't know why he agreed to do this. Maybe because of the money, or maybe, I don't know.
For a joke.
For a joke, but you expect a much like a very subtle or a much better
The
kind
movie
of
was not a
product from.
serious kind of movie. It was like a fun kind of movie. So that's why they had put
Yeah,
some
but
Minecraft
Stephen
in such a
Fry
light.
should have had some inputs of his own for Minecraft. He started off really good, like how they are both deducting things about not like they're deducing things about one another, but after that it kind of became like a parody of itself, that movie.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
that
I
that's
think
a-
Mycroft Holmes is played very well by Mark Gatiss.
because he's writing that stuff as well. Like
Not only that, he
Yeah.
is also like it was really like good chemistry between Cumberbatch and
Cumberbatch and him, and there's
Yes,
a
and they
sense of
look
rivalry.
actually the way they fight also, no, that's very like brotherly and all that, and then yet
Exactly.
they are very smart.
Yeah, and
On the
I
first
absolutely
episode,
love
right?
the small nuances that they put, especially when
Yes.
they're in the last episode, they're smoking outside their house, their farmhouse, and their mom comes in, and Sherlock, like the typical little brother, he just blames, he just says, blurts out that it was Mycroft, like he goaded me into smoking, kind of thing. So that was a very like typical brotherly thing that people do. And to infuse that into characters like Sherlock and Mycroft, who are very dysfunctional, so to speak, in terms of relationships and all that. But even them, both of them share a sense of like this brotherly camaraderie and all these things. So those are the interesting tidbits. Like those are the interesting elements that Mark Gatiss and Moffat
And this
infused into
actually
the Sherlock.
added to their characters more. Like, you know,
Character, yeah.
this small nuisances actually add up to the character development of the yes, he might be Sherlock and Mycroft, but they are still humans.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, just to interrupt, I have to drop off now. Something I have to do here.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Like a very nice session. It was nice discussing with you again. I'll see you all
It was
next week.
so nice to have you.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, that's all, and see you guys next week. Bye, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.
Yeah. So my next question is about. So all of you are covered, or am I missing someone?
My favorite Sherlock.
You're Sherlock. Sorry. Okay.
My favorite Sherlock, like it's you all don't know. Okay, you all don't know that which one was my favorite. Okay, you are not supposed to know. It's supposed to be a secret.
Please tell us.
Who?
No, please tell us. Like, yeah.
It's like Benedict Cumberbatch. Okay, he's the best Sherlock. Okay.
Okay.
And
Benny,
you all
our
should be
Benny.
surprised.
Yeah. I have an unconventional choice for favorite Sherlock.
Yeah, just
go on.
Okay.
Unconventional favorite Sherlock, Peter Cushing.
Don't bring any Japanese character into this, man. I know
Peter
you're gonna
Cushing.
do it. Okay.
Grand Moff Tarkin, Peter Cushing.
Yes, yeah.
I mentioned him earlier.
I didn't notice, damn it.
Yeah, you're Sherlock. Yeah, you're Sherlock.
Grand Moff Tarkin as Sherlock. Like he can do Grand Moff Tarkin and then he can do Sherlock as well. Like that range itself makes him like up there in the book.
And he was Doctor Who at one point as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, trifecta.
The nerd trifecta.
Not trifecta, yeah.
Since they have created a animated character out of him in the movies.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Try to make Sherlock out of it as well.
They will at some point. The technology will reach a point where.
Speaking of, Ayushi, there is a Sherlock manga based on the television series.
I knew it. You'll bring Japanese culture into this.
No,
Ishwar, are you? Tell us the truth. Are you exported from Japan?
No. I'm just culturally appropriating them.
Yeah, Ishwar. Ishwar son. Hey, what is that? Kun means what? Brother.
No, man, it's like you have a varying level of honorifics in terms of relationships. So if you say Sama, it means someone who is like very senior or your boss.
Pretty much like Anna in Tamil, right?
Yeah, like not even Anna. Ayya is like
okay.
Like a chief or something, your boss basically. San is somebody who's at the same level who you're not familiar with. Kun and Chan are for people you are familiar with or people who are younger than you.
Okay. So Tammi.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay. So when Sobik talks to you and calls you Soam Chan, it means
he never talks to me in that manner. He only calls me like demotivated fool, but okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
So, okay. So let's just like one final topic is remaining. That we all know that Sherlock has dealt with his substance abuse, right?
Yeah.
He was a morphine addict and he took other kind of drugs as well. So anyone wants to touch upon that? Like it was written. Arthur Conan Doyle brought all this aspect of substance abuse in a, so to speak, his most treasured character, and he took a huge risk, like making his hero kind of flawed in a way, like not essentially not making him the golden boy of super sleuths, so to speak. Like
I can start and you can like carry on. Yeah. I can start on this topic. So then you can like join in.
Yeah. So Shanda said, can you just shed some light onto it? Like what do you think about this?
So we see in the Sherlock original when it was written, it was like Arthur Conan Doyle first tried to write this story, Study in Scarlet, and for a magazine, but he didn't wish to continue it. He just did it for like the money involved. From there on, it for he unwillingly continued the series, which I have read. So when he
Yes,
yes, when he started, actually the character Moriarty was made for this reason, so that he can kill off Sherlock. But anyway, I will come to that later. So initially, when he made this character, the way it was portrayed, why it is so much memorable, is because it was like hardly fictional. It was based on characters which he has seen and grown with. So since he has studied medicine, what he found that he learned how to deduce things out while seeing something which ordinary people will not be able to understand. So this sense of deduction which he has put in Sherlock came from because he experienced it himself, and his inspiration was one of his teachers in his college when he was studying this thing. So this was one thing, and other thing was the how he wanted to portray. It was his substance abuse, and these things might have, like others have think, that might have come from his childhood memories, because his father was drunk and his family was victim of domestic violence and this. So to make a main character at the same time genius and dislikable, and it was not fiction. It was from his experience with people around him. That's what I have learned.
yes, he was
In
influenced by reality, obviously.
exactly, and
There's
this
actually also a bit of it's not trivia per se, but there's a lot of stuff dealing with substance abuse in Europe around that time. Because if you look back, one of the biggest cocaine epidemics, or basically the spike in the usage of cocaine, was thanks to a wonderful human being, probably one of the greatest men who ever lived, such a nice human being called Sigmund Freud.
yeah,
He actually
Very wholesome. Very wholesome.
yeah,
very nice guy, no?
he's a nice
He
person.
wrote this wonderful paper talking about cocaine as a wonder drug, thanks to which the usage of cocaine just spiked massively in Europe. One of his patients or something, or somebody he knew, started using it, and he put it in a soft drink which later became Coca-Cola.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
So the thing is, at this time, people were starting to use substances, right? So there were these writers like this poet called Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who used to,
Yes,
and
who wrote
John Keats.
Kubla Khan in yes, I was actually supposed to say that.
Yeah. So all of these guys had taken substances. I don't remember if it was John Keats or Samuel Taylor Coleridge. One of them had
Samuel
toothache.
Taylor Coleridge.
The toothache was Coleridge, right?
Coleridge was actually substance abuse. He used
Yeah.
opium while writing,
Opium,
and
right, right.
that is why he could wander very well. And I was actually supposed to highlight on this point that the intelligent minds, they cannot actually sustain that thing in their mind, so they need something to free
Yeah.
themselves and release that tension. That is why they either go through a lot of mental health issues,
Yeah.
like who are extraordinarily intelligent, like someone like Sherlock or like
Yeah.
Samuel Taylor
yeah,
Coleridge, or maybe someone else, like we have a lot of cases of superstars and
Yeah. Someone like
other
me.
right.
people,
Yeah.
yeah, who are
Me.
actually going through, because they cannot sustain that intelligence and so much of frenzy inside them, so they
Correct.
need something to release that thing, so they
Yeah.
are victims
So
of
that's
substance
actually an
abuse.
interesting point that Aishi brought up, because at the end of the day, if you think about it, there are a lot of factors that contributed to Sherlock becoming someone who used substances, and it all eventually makes sense, because to start with, Sherlock is fictional. So you can write a character however you want, and it was based on Doyle's. So Doyle was preparing to become a doctor, and his
Right.
professor, Dr. Joseph Bell, is the inspiration for Sherlock, and he's
Yes.
the guy that used to
I have also
deduce.
read that.
Yeah. So he was the guy who started deducing what his patients were going through. So all of these factors, Freud, cocaine, substance abuse, romantic portrait, all of these contributed to Sherlock Holmes being a cocaine or substance abuse or an addict.
Right.
Yeah, because you cannot avoid, like, the writer will get influenced by the contemporary issues that were going
Exactly.
at that time.
Exactly.
And this thing that this when Arthur Conan Doyle has found out, he was revealing too much of his personal life in Sherlock, and it's like hampering his way thought process and what he tried to achieve later. He tried to kill off this character, and that's why he introduced the story
I
or the
actually
final
read
boss.
somewhere that Arthur Conan Doyle thought that this was not contributing anything to the, literature, or maybe in history. Actually, he wanted to write other things like a history, and something that would contribute and
Yes,
will help people learn. That
he
is why
had
he wanted to
ambition.
kill
Yes,
Sherlock. He actually killed
he had.
Sherlock.
Exactly. He wished to do something other than this. It was taking up all his popularity and all this. He tried to write other stuffs also, but they were not as popular as Sherlock. So after two cycle of 12 series books, in the second series, he in the last story he killed him off. Then everything went to hell. The publishers, the fans, everyone had to came with pitchfork and torches to him.
Back.
Okay, so Tom, you've been kind of quiet, so you wanna join in?
Yeah, I have to ask, do any of you take drugs on a regular basis?
I know you're going
No.
this route.
I'm
Sugar is
absolutely
quite
clean. I
addictive.
can unequivocally state I'm absolutely clean.
Clean, yeah.
Sugar is kind of addictive if you consider it
Uh, Sugar, I'm
addiction.
not talking about sugar, at least. Although what I have is nothing that dangerous either. Uh,
Okay.
so I don't know. I think he would just have put it in because of whatever because it was a timely issue, and because it
Yeah.
made his character a little more interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
Other than just a boring straight dude, you know.
Shades.
He was not
That's
that
too
boring
good
to
to be
begin
true,
with.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like, and I think or in all his adaptations, that kind of has had some sort of effect on the story. I mean, BBC Sherlock has used it a little too many times, I think. But all the other adaptations that we talked about earlier, I don't know about. Has it been used in the classic Barrett era, the substance abuse
Only in the
problem?
only in the first two books. After that, in the short stories, it was not much mentioned. In the
No, no, I'm
novels,
talking
first
about
two
the
books.
TV series,
Oh,
the
the Jeremy
Barrett.
Brett, right?
Oh, acha, acha.
That Shudipta will be able to say, but sadly he's not in the pod anymore. He left.
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay,
he
so
has
maybe
only
I'm
okay,
guessing
sorry.
not because it like Sudhita said, it aired somewhere between the early 80s, right? Early 80s to early 90s it ran through. So
Hmm.
I don't think the viewers like even if they had incorporated it, chances are it got censored. Most likely
I
because
don't know.
there are
That kind of shit mostly happens in our country, not their country.
yeah, but
no.
That's
our
not
country is
true.
essentially 80s. Our country is essentially 80s England, right? Currently, like there's kind of
But they used to censor it. They didn't promote it in the plays or anything in the Americas as well. The first this was etched in our mind because it has a mention in the book, and after that the creators, showrunners has interpreted it in different way. Just like Irene Adler was mentioned once, and they have created a romantic angle in everything after that. But actually, the sustainable thing
Possible.
was not highlighted. It was since it is mentioned and it was such a sensational thing. That's why we have interpreted it in so many. It was interpreted so many times. I think that.
Okay, so another question, like, was he like how intense was his addiction actually? Like, was it just to stimulate his thought process, just so he could be a better detective, or he was completely like in the BBC series, which has dealt with this extensively? We see that his mental faculties are kind of deteriorating by the end of season
But
4.
yeah, but Shom, that's what I'm talking about. That whole thing about getting high to get inspiration, that is hook'em.
Sogum, right?
I
Yeah, because that's
yeah.
not completely justifiable. Like,
No, it
brilliance. Yeah. So, Tom, you're saying something?
Yeah, I'm
yes,
saying getting high to get inspiration is completely hokum.
exactly.
It's mostly a myth made up by people who don't take drugs.
Yeah, because you will be very disoriented, right? Whenever
Yeah,
you will be indulging in some kind of those kind of things. So, how will you be able to focus on onto a particular case that you will be working on? So
I just
it's
want to interrupt for 1 second and say Grant Morrison wants to know your location.
okay. So, but why?
what?
Grant Morrison
All of
once
that kind of came out of nowhere. Why?
Grant Morrison once took shrooms in Kathmandu. I don't know, he got lost or something, went on a trip, and
What?
eventually theorized or hypothesized that he was abducted by aliens.
Yeah, that sounds pretty normal for him.
Okay.
Yeah, because maybe he
So
was
I will.
actually, and
Have we
they
covered
replaced.
all the topics so far?
Yeah, so far all the topics are remaining. So I just have a question. So aside from Sherlock, Conan Doyle is known for his Challenger series, right? On Professor Challenger. So any
Yes.
of you have any idea on that, like what it is? And
There,
I would certainly like to get into it, because I haven't read that
uh,
book, that particular
in
series.
in
Anyone has read?
when I was a kid, I used to take magazines,
Hmm.
and there used to be a series. Uh, the Lost World translated in Bengali was used to came in series in those
Mhm.
days in Shuktara. So I used
Okay.
to like I had gone through some of it, but I right now it feels like ages ago. I don't remember the
Mhm.
things, but I what I remember, I used to, since it said the Lost World, I used to think that something in the movies, the Jurassic Park, is something similar to going to happen, but
Yeah, because
there
I
nothing
remember
was there.
reading a
It was
transcript of
magic. It
Lost
was,
World.
yeah.
Uh, okay,
This is a
so
different thing. This is Arthur Conan Doyle's Lost World.
yeah,
This
but
is
that also this Lost World was about going into the surface of our Earth
Earth.
and then
Yeah,
discovering
there
there
are
are
mythology is that there is a hollow earth and there are
uh,
prehistoric creatures living down there,
yeah,
and
that's
they have come out somewhere in
So,
the past.
yeah, yeah.
Lost City of Z starring Robert Pattinson.
Lost City of Z I haven't seen.
No,
Same
the
thing.
movie stars Robert Pattinson as Percy Fawcett, the inspiration for Professor Challenger.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So yeah. So okay. So he's kind of like Indiana Jones, right?
Yes, kind of.
Kind of. Okay. So
But nothing
Challenger,
like Sherlock. Nothing like
it's pretty
Sherlock.
apparent
I'm
that
pretty new to this Challenger thing. I
yeah.
absolutely have no idea about it.
Yeah, so it's pretty apparent
Yeah,
that
it's
none
kind
of
of
us know that
like a
know.
fiction, like a fantasy kind of thing, written by Sherlock, Arthur Conan Doyle. Anyway,
Okay, so yeah,
Anyways, I
so
cannot expect Arthur Conan Doyle writing anything romantic. I am pretty sure it's another detective and sci-fi kind of a thing.
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe he wanted to focus more on Challenger. That's why he tried to kill Sherlock.
yeah, he wanted to he wanted to like normalize the Hollow Earth conspiracy theory,
Exactly.
cult of Hollow Earth.
Uh,
Wait, there's a
So
cult of Hollow Earth people. What?
There's a cult of
And
flat
the
earth, so
challenge
it's evident that there will be cult of hollow earth as well. Like, and some people will be on the
But
both
you
cults.
realize what would happen if either of these, I mean, the Hollow Earth having a conversation with a flat earther, what would it look like? I mean,
Uh,
the the Earth has to be round for it to have be hollow, right?
yeah, it has to
but
be a sphere.
have you any one of you have read Jules Verne? Like he also like Journey to the Center of the Earth made something like this. Like they are going to the center and they found a civilization, like the end, something like Dr. Challenger, like a prehistoric being living down there in the lake.
But Jules Verne
So
predates Arthur Conan Doyle, right?
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So at least these things, these hollow earth things came in mind to multiple people. So fine, it's part of a figment of imagination, which
So
when people didn't know what lied down. Actually the concept is of like the patal, like the
Yeah, Patal, yeah.
underworld, the
Yeah,
underworld.
even our scriptures have a fake.
Shayanda, I had a question to ask. I don't know, Shoham
Yeah,
might also be able to answer. So it is very evident that Sherlock was the inspiration for Feluda, maybe even
Yeah,
Byomkesh, maybe not
very
yeah,
much.
Byomkesh, I don't know.
Yeah,
yes,
very much.
But
yes.
who was the inspiration for Professor Shonku, or was it completely original?
Okay, Professor
Uh,
Shonku, anything similar to Professor Shonku? I
Professor
haven't.
Shonku basically takes different elements of Isaac Asimov's writings.
No,
Yeah,
but the
And
character,
if
the
you
character, I'm talking about the
there
the
character,
character itself is not.
is unique.
I think it's very unique, so to speak.
see, if you say unique, it is also applicable for Feluda as well. Might be that it has a main detective who solves mystery by deduction, but it has a own personality which is unique in itself. So this deduction ability you can see also in
No, but
Shonku, right?
no, but he does the same thing as Sherlock, right? Is there anybody
Yeah.
in British or American fiction who does the same thing that
No,
this Shonku does?
Not that we have heard of.
I haven't read anything which is similar to Shonku, but maybe because
About that,
I haven't,
I have to ask because the movie completely failed me and I didn't expect anything
I
better. But
haven't
what does
wanted to.
Shonku do?
No, the
What does
stories
Shonku
are.
do?
Professor
Shonku
Shonku
is
is kind of like an eccentric inventor, and one of
no,
the
he is not eccentric. He is not eccentric. He was
is
portrayed as eccentric only in the first
yeah,
first
first one,
pilot book.
Boom Diary, right?
He is not at all
In the first one,
eccentric.
where, which
Yeah,
is ironical
definitely.
that his first novel is actually chronologically his last novel, and all his other stories are kind
Yeah.
of found from by another, like so to speak, the writer, and then
Hmm.
all the stories are kind of like a truncated version of his daily
Diary.
diaries
That
and what
that
are the
this was
experiences he
the
has gone through.
yeah. This
Bom
was a
Diary
unique
first
way of telling.
deals with the fact that Shonku goes to another planet and then eventually settles there. But
That
yeah,
was like the first like
Professor Shonku, speaking of, like, Satyajit Ray was a very his range for fiction was unparalleled to this day, because he had put so much like weird settings in Professor Shonku, and in terms of like fictional value or literary value, even I'll peg them higher than Feluda. But
if we
since
take home
Satyajit Ray comes from
Satyajit Ray
a
is
non-science background,
yeah.
his explanations to certain scientific phenomenon, to so to speak, were very childish. Like he, like for there's a gun that Shonku used called anihilinin,
Yeah.
anihilinin something. So it is basically, if you point it to someone, that person will get disintegrated. Like he will be
Disappear.
separated
He
into
will
bits and pieces. But the way he justifies that, he said that I used the shell of a tortoise and air of a something like a kind of like a witch's brew he has created to he has made or concocted to create that particular bullet. So anyone who is reading it from anyone who is beyond 15, who is reading it from a scientific perspective, will completely think that this guy is like bullshitting us. But once you get past it, the fictional element of his stories, his short stories especially for Shonku, is so great and so rich. I don't know whether those are the derivatives of something of someone like Isaac Asimov, which is why I mentioned his name at the first place, because his settings are so like Isaac Asimov's foresight is I think things that he has written in 1950s are still being discovered to this day. Like his mythology is kindly being theorized by our scientists, and they were very scientifically, whereas Isaac Asimov was very scientifically accurate, so to speak. Professor Shonku
So,
relied on the fictional aspect of their stories,
yeah, so
and that's why I think it,
hello.
since it was a science fiction, but since it was very heavy on fiction, I think there was no one, so to speak, uh, who he could have been a derivative of. The stories could have been a derivative of some other stories written by some other writer, because Satyendra indulged in different kind of literature all over the world. But I think Professor Shonku, he wanted to represent the intellect of Bengalis or Indians, so to speak, in
So,
and give him a proper
both,
manifestation.
both
Yeah,
these,
so that's my
both Isaac
2 cents
Asimov
on
and
this.
Satyendra are like huge topics. So we might discuss this later. So I think
Anyway,
we
there,
should
or I just lost everyone.
yeah. Hi, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, I think we should declare the next week topic and wrap it up now, right?
Okay. Was I speaking like incoherently?
No, I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me for some reason. I was
Uh,
saying that let's wrap this up and
okay. So yeah. So we'll find out in the post how it all
yeah,
synced up. Yeah.
I hope
So
you
the
guys.
okay. So speaking of next week's topic, I want to. I don't know whether Shanda has informed you all, but we have discussed on this. So We are initially. I hope we'll be doing this in a bi-weekly manner, like every 2 weeks, because the editing and everything takes a lot of time. That being said, we won't gather on. We won't stop gathering on Sunday. We'll be having these discussions, but it won't be recorded, so to speak. Suppose what we are essentially planning 2 weeks after that is after today is doing episode on Jack Kirby. So what this span of 2 weeks we can do is can just read up on his life, we can read up on his works, and then we also have a lot of editing, mainly that's on me. So editing to cover up as well from for the previous videos. So
I think
essentially,
the
what I
bi-weekly idea is very good.
Yes,
what?
and
Yeah.
in the middle,
Mm.
in the Sunday in between, we will
Oh.
just gather together for a little while and discuss how where are we
Yeah,
in
discuss the
Yeah,
topics, like
discuss
how will.
about the next week's topic.
Yeah.
exactly, and we can like coordinate much better in
Yeah,
that
the
case.
agenda
Yeah.
of next week's topic, and so that we have 2 weeks time to basically prepare for
Prepare. Yeah,
We
everything.
can
because
like
if you
share
are
notes
even
and all this.
yeah,
We
if
can
you're
like,
covering someone as prolific as, say, Isaac Asimov or Arthur C. Clarke, it will take a
Yes.
lot of time, or Stephen King, so to speak, who writes like his books are kind of like giant
exactly,
blocks at this point. So if you
and
want
It's
to
an entire universe, right? So Stephen King's universe
exactly
is like massive.
so
I
it will
right.
so
take us.
want to get into his universe, and I really hope I am able to do that with this podcast thing.
Yeah.
We are right. We are also
But we have
hoping.
to have some time for Stephen King, because at least we
Yeah.
need minimum of
Exactly.
1 month. Minimum of 1 month if you are to cover. Even if we cover different series, like suppose Ayushi covers it, I cover The Stand, Ishwar covers The Dark
I
Tower.
am not reading it. Okay, I am
I've
over
read
that
it.
Joker
It
thing.
was
Okay,
amazing.
I
Don't
cannot
worry, I
read
will
that book
cover.
because I saw the movie and I was like traumatized. Okay, I was dreaming about that Joker, and it's very. I cannot read and sleep
I
at night.
was
Okay, I
like,
cannot do it.
Hi, Georgie. Why don't you float
Don't
down
do
here?
that. Don't do that.
you watched the
It's
movie.
scary.
I was hearing the audiobook and I was like, in the I can't hear this at night. I had the feeling like this the
That
way
happened with
they
me.
are
I was reading
explained.
an
Oh my god.
encyclopedia on ghosts.
Okay.
Okay. So that added to that
So we
particular
will
feel, right?
definitely we will discuss Stephen King sometimes in future,
Yeah,
but
of course. But
for now let's do this once in 2 weeks, and in the between
Yes.
the Sunday in between we will join together to discuss the next
the
week's topic.
topics, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a
So
very
two
good
weeks
idea.
after this, we're covering Jack
Number
Kirby,
4.
and
Okay.
next week also. Oh yeah. So next week also, we're gathering, and also if anyone is listening, I'd like to say that we'll be releasing the videos that have not been
Yes,
released on
yes.
YouTube. So
We are
the
pending.
editing is taking so much time, and actually I have appointed my brother, my kid
I
brother, for
have
the
appointed your brother.
editing.
You haven't appointed your brother. It came
Okay,
to
so
I
I'm
my
the
wanted to
appointed my
ask you,
kid brother.
Shoham, that you were supposed to release the first half on my channel and then the second half so that we can
Yeah,
divert the
Yeah,
audience.
at least let us make it presentable so that you can put it
yeah.
on
At
your
least, yeah.
channel.
Let's just get the
Let's
I think
get
the
bad
the
ones
Sherlock
main
out
one was
first.
topic.
very good, pretty good. It went pretty
Yeah,
good.
Yes, yes,
yeah. Then Sherlock one will be debuted in IG's channel, and then
Yeah.
I'll share through that.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And
So
hopefully I can make something presentable with the help of your brother.
yeah, please do that because my editing skills are terrible. Honestly, like not to boast,
Actually, the
but
time constraint is like the main issue here. Like I
Mhm.
am not getting much time to spend on this. So anyway, let's hope that this 2 week thing work out. Okay.
Yeah,
So
sure.
let's
Yes.
wrap it up for
Okay,
today.
so I'm wrapping it up, guys. So thank you everyone for joining in. I'm sorry
Yeah,
for like bailing on last week's podcast. So glad we all
no,
kept
that's
together
great.
and could have this.
Yeah,
And so yeah, thanks Tom, thanks Ishwar. Although you said you won't be a part of it, then you became
Yeah.
you
Yes.
we
kind of
are going to
you
listen to
kind
you.
of
We
subbed
can't
in for
help it.
Sudipta. You entered, and after like 30 minutes, Sudipta left.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the mention of manga brought Ishwar back.
Brought me there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
thank you, Ishwar, for the app which we can speak now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I am halfway into the Sandman series already.
Yes.
Of the
Yeah, I
okay,
have to read that.
let's not discuss it on
Yeah.
record.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
understand. I understand entirely.
okay,
Yeah, we
okay.
have to do one on Neil Gaiman as well down the line.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh fuck.
Yes.
definitely.
Definitely. In
Tom,
fact,
what's
you know
it?
what? My sister gave me a box set of Neil Gaiman,
Oh.
Oh
which
wow,
I told you guys
wow,
now I wanted to read the Graveyard book and Coraline. So she gave me a box set, like 3 books boxes, and it has both the books. I'm so pretty excited.
awesome, awesome.
Have
Salutes.
you
Anyway,
read
Yeah.
American Gods yet?
No, this would
I've
be my
seen the series.
first Neil Gaiman series.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I prefer reading the book before the
yes, absolutely. Go ahead and do that.
series.
Okay. So, guys, wrapping it up. Thanks
Okay,
everyone, and
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
see you all next week to discuss the topics.
Thank
Definitely.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thank you. Bye.
Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Ishwar, stop the recording.
Yeah.